Today we tend to tell a conventional Yank story referred to as a tall tale. A narration could be a story, a couple of one that is larger than life. The descriptions within the story area unit exaggerated, abundant, larger than in world. This makes the story funny. Long ago, the people that settled in undeveloped areas in America first told tall tales. When a tough day's work, folks gathered to inform one another funny stories. Each cluster of employees had its own narration hero. Lumberjack was a hero of North America's lumberjacks. The employees' World Health Organization curtail trees. He was legendary for his strength, speed, and talent. Tradition says he cleared forests from the northeastern U.S. to the Pacific Ocean. Some folks say Lumberjack was the creation of storytellers from the center-western lake space of the U.S. Others say the stories regarding him came from French North American nation. Many years past, Bunyan was born within the northeastern American state of Pine Tree State. His mother and father were afraid after they initially saw the boy. Paul was thus massive at birth that 5 massive birds had to hold him to his folks. Once the boy was solely a number of weeks recent, he weighed quite 45 kilograms. As a child, Paul was continuously hungry. His folks required 10 cows to provide milk for his meals. Presently, he ate 50 eggs and 10 containers of potatoes on a daily basis. Young Paul grew thus huge that his folks failed to understand what to try to do with him. Once, Paul rolled over such a lot in his sleep that he caused associate earthquake. This furious folks within the city wherever his folks lived. So, the government told his mother and father they might got to move him away. Paul's father engineered a wood cradle, a conventional bed for a baby. His folks placed the cradle in waters on the coast of Pine Tree State. However, anytime Paul rolled over, vast waves lined all the coastal cities. Thus his folks brought their son back onto land. They took him into the woods. This is often wherever he grew up. As a boy, Paul helped his father block trees. Paul had the strength of the many men. He conjointly was very quick. He might put off a light weight so jump into his bed before the area got dark. Storyteller, American state is incredibly cold for abundant of the year. One day, it began to snow. The snow lined Paul's home and a close-by forest. However, this snow was terribly uncommon. It had been blue. The blue snow unbroken falling till the forest was lined. Paul placed on his snowshoes and went bent on see the bizarre sight. As he walked, Paul discovered associate degree animal stuck within the snow. It had been a baby ox. Paul determined to require the ox home with him. He placed the animal close to the fireside. When the ox got hotter, his hair remained blue. Paul determined to stay the blue ox and named him Infant. Infant grew terribly quickly. One night, Paul left him in a very tiny building with the opposite animals. Consecutive morning, the barn was gone, then was Infant. Paul searched every place for the animal. He found Infant sedately consumption grass in a very natural depression, with the barn still on prime of his back. Infant followed Paul and grew larger daily. When Paul looked, Infant gave the impression to grow taller. In those days, abundant of North America was crammed with thick, inexperienced forests. Character might clear giant scrubby areas with one stroke of his giant, sharp axe. Paul instructed Child to assist along with his work. Child was terribly helpful. As an example, Paul had bother removing trees on a road that wasn't straight. He determined to tie one finish of the road to what remained of a tree within the ground. Paul tied the opposite finish to Child. Child mama his feet within the ground and force with all his strength till the road became straight. Storyteller, in time, Paul and Child the blue ox left Maine, and enraptured west to seem for add alternative forests. On the manor, Paul mama out the good lakes to supply beverage for Child. They settled in an exceedingly camp close to the Onion Stream within the state of Minnesota. Paul's camp was the most important within the country. The camp was thus massive that a person had to own 1 week's provide of food. Once walking from one aspect of the camp to the opposite, Paul determined to induce alternative lumberjacks to assist with the work. His work crew became referred to as the 7 Axe Men. Every man was over 2 meters tall and weighed over 160 kilograms. All of the Axe Men were named Elmer. That way, all of them came running whenever Paul, known as them, the Man World Health Organization, burned for the cluster was named Sourdough Guided Missile. He created everything except occasional from sourdough, a substance utilized in creating sour bread. Every Sunday, Paul and his crew ate hot cakes. Every hot cake was therefore massive that it took 5 men to eat one. Paul sometimes had 10 or a lot of hot cakes, betting on however hungry he was. The table wherever the lads ate was goodbye that a server sometimes drove to at least one finish of the table and stayed the night. The server drove back within the morning with a contemporary load of food. Paul required somebody to assist with the camp's finances. He gave the duty to a person named Confederate Soldier Inkslinger. Confederate soldier unbroken records of everything, as well as wages and therefore the value of feeding baby. He generally used 9 containers of writing fluid every day to stay such careful records. The camp additionally was home to Sport, the reversible dog. One in all the staff accidentally cut Sport in two. The person over hasty to place the dog back along, however, created a slip. He bent the animal's back the incorrect manner. However, that wasn't a tangle for Sport. He learned to run on his front legs till he was tired. Then, he turned the opposite manner and ran on his back legs. Storyteller, massive mosquitoes were a tangle at the camp. The boys attacked the insects with their axes and long sticks. Presently, the boys placed barriers around their room. Then, Paul ordered them to urge massive bees to destroy the mosquitoes. However, the bees married the mosquitoes, and therefore the drawback got worse. They began to supply young insects. One day, the insects' love of sweets caused them to attack a ship that was transportation sugar to the camp. At last, the mosquitoes and bees were defeated. They ate most sugar they might not move. Paul forever gave Kid the Blue Ox a 35 metric weight unit piece of sugar once he was sensible. However, generally Kid likable to play tricks. At night, Kid would build noises and hit the bottom along with his feet. The boys at the camp would run out of the buildings wherever they slept, thinking it had been associate earthquake. When winter came, Kid had hassle finding enough food to eat. Snow lined everything. Old the Smith solved the matter. He created large, inexperienced dark glasses for Kid. Once Kid wore the dark glasses, he thought the snow was grass. Presently, Kid was sturdy and healthy once more. One year, Paul's camp was particularly cold. It had been thus cold that the boys let their facial hair grow terribly long. Once the boys spoke, their words froze within the air. Everything they aforesaid remained frozen all winter long, and failed to soften till spring. Paul Bunyan and Infant left their mark on several areas. Some individuals say they were answerable for making Puget Sound within the western state of Washington. Others say Character and Infant cleared the trees from the states of American State and SD. They readied this space for farming. Bade the Blue Ox died in SD. One story says he Greek deity to several hot cakes. Paul buried his first love there. Today, the burial place is understood because the Black Hills. Whatever happened to Paul Bunyan? Their area unit variant stories. Some individuals say he was last seen in Last Frontier, or maybe the Arctic Circle. Another tradition says he still returns to North Star State each summer. It says Paul moves in and out of the woods. Thus few individuals ever understand that he's there.